Today we are here to cover the economic forum with Jim, who is going to tell people how to grow up your small businesses in future in Western Australia.
So today's economy forum. I'm obviously interested to hear what the shadows are thinking. As people who are the union movement is interested in matters such as free trade agreements, matters such as sort of labour market testing for sort of workers who are coming in on work visas and all of those sorts of things. We're pleased on the one level that the federal Labor is going to look critically at some of the issues around free trade agreements, but we also think that there needs to be perhaps a bit more of a robust position taken on some of these agreements. It's one thing to support free trade, but we shouldn't support free trade uncritically. And I think there's a lot of situations where a lot of the agreements that are being served up to us by the current government are really just essentially them accepting whatever overseas, whatever other countries tell us to do, and yes, sort of more or less going with it.
Anything you want to add? Anything else? What's the plan you want for the government to bring in the Western Australia?
Okay, so as far as Western Australia goes, look, I think here in Western Australia we definitely need more work on our infrastructure. I think something that hasn't been mentioned this evening but should be is our transition to a low carbon economy. Western Australia does export a lot of emissions intensive industries, and it's pretty clear from right around the world that that's going to become a more difficult business model to keep pursuing. So I think if the federal government's going to, or the next federal government's going to do anything, it really needs to look at a comprehensive transition plan, and not just any old transition plan, but a just transition plan that ensures that workers in high carbon intensive industries are going to be looked after and also given the opportunity to reskill for decent and secure jobs.
Today's economy forum.
Oh, it's been fantastic. I mean, Jim Chalmers responded really well to every single question that was asked there, and gave a very credible answer. Yeah, absolutely.
The plans, what are the important things you want to bring in Western Australia?
In Western Australia, I see my issues are mainly national. It's about national tax reform rather than just relate to Western Australia. I think Western Australia is still in a very privileged position, but in terms of intergenerational equity and in terms of social welfare, we need whole of Australia solutions and approaches to address some of the terrible inequities that exist in our society.
Like businesses are also closing in Western Australia, as Bafford Street business, you know that businesses are closing on that street. So what do you say about that one?
Yeah, we live in East Perth, and it's a very sad, we live in Royal Street, East Perth. You go along Royal Street and there are 1 in 3 shop fronts that are closed, and that is very, very sad. I believe it's beginning to trickle through the mining reboot.
I think it's really good to have a conversation discussion to really look at how we frame an economic vision for this country which will deliver on jobs, deliver on clean energy, and acknowledge the need to create Indigenous jobs across Northern Australia.
Changes you want in Western Australia or all over in Australia? What are the changes for the businesses?
Look, I think we have much to offer the world in terms of our oil and gas reserves. I think it's really important that we move away from coal and that we really look at sustainable clean energy. We have the reserves, we just need a very good economic plan.
Well-designed policies will help Western Australia economy to grow up in future. It's me, Talha, Undercurrent, WTV, Perth.